Shua right here. If you're new to me, I am the founder of Grace Hope Consulting. I wear many hats, and most of them are or can be gathered in maybe a few words. Um, I'm a mental health and ability consultant, so I do consulting, coaching, counseling, writing, speaking, but all of that it's under because of my background, in mental health and disability related services. Um, I passionate about helping people reach their full potential, achieve emotional wellness, live fulfilling lives, and sometimes that takes different. Um, it takes different means to achieve that. When someone is struggling emotionally, mentally, it might be counseling. When people kind of have the emotional basis in place. Oh, hi, Tammy. And they need something more, like how to go from point A to point B. Like, I'm feeling emotionally strong, but now what do I do with my life now? How do I event? That's when the life coaching comes in. Um, but then also when someone's trying to figure out, what services and support they need in place in order to achieve that full life, then I wear my hat as a support broker. And then again, I write and share my stories, my expertise, my knowledge of others, so that people can continue to kind of pick my brain even when I'm not physically there. But all of that because I'm passionate about having people, keeping people alive, but not just alive, but fully living, if you want. So with that in mind, I wanted to just hop on here quickly and kind of share maybe 5 reasons why you should practice social connections. Um, or stay socially connected while practicing physical distance. I know with COVID-19, we're all encouraged to stay home and stay away from people because we want to flatten the curve, right? Like everybody's talking about, we want to make sure that we're not um, giving this virus more chances than it needs to spread. We don't want that. We want to keep people well, and I get that, but I also wanted to touch, just kind of maybe clarify a little bit. Yes, we're calling it social distancing, but honestly, personally and professionally, I don't think that's the right term that we should be using, because that term can be very confusing for people. Well, could you tell people to be socially distant and think like, okay, I'm just going to talk and I'm pushing all the word out, keeping people out, and that's not actually what that term means or what that term was meant to to say. So yes, we want to keep those physical distances, but I really, really, really encourage you to keep those social connections strong. I'll say that again. Stay physically distant. Follow take all the precautions and follow all the recommendations that we've been given, by helpful medical professionals. That's all good, but I don't want you to lose those social connections right now. And here's why: as human beings, we are social beings. Even those of us who might say, "Well, I am an introvert. I can do without people." If you think about it, you might not always be like, front and center with people all the time, but you might have that close niche of people that you do connect with at sometimes, at least once a day, right? Whether it's, it's your partner, or whether it's your children, or maybe one or two co-friends or two or co-workers. You probably interact with people at some level, even if it's not face to face, because humans are, we are social beings. So the number one reason why I encourage you to, practice the social connections, or strengthen the social connections, is that social connections are benefit our mental health. They improve even our mental health. There's tons and tons and tons of research out there that proves that people who are socially connected have lower rates of depression and anxiety. And it's not that they don't have problems, it's just that they have the support that they need, that people to talk to, people to to do life with, if you want, people to that help them sometimes think outside of what their situation. All of those things help, and it's because there are people around. And no matter how you're connecting with those people, maintaining those social connections will help, you know help with decreasing depression and anxiety, which again improves our mental health. And when you think about it, with the rate of suicide as it wasn't before this, people who I depression alone makes it pushes people to isolate. That's the nature of depression. It's not that people, it's not to point fingers. People, oh, no, you're isolating. But when someone's depressed, it's so easy to isolate because just everything becomes too much and they don't want to be a burden on others. So they kind of, retreat in themselves. But also, the more people retreat in themselves, the more alone they feel. The more lonely they feel, then usually that's the depression gets worse. And when depression gets worse, people can sometimes become suicidal. But if you look at a lot of people who are able to maintain the mental health, even people who had mental health challenges before all of this, social distancing, quote unquote, started, most of us, what keeps us well is the fact that we have a support system, most the fact that we have people we can connect with. So that's the number one reason why we have to continue to strengthen the social connections. It's so that it improves our mental health, and the way it improves our mental health is by reducing those rate of depression, anxiety, and suicide, decreasing the risk for suicide. So I really encourage you, and we'll talk a little bit, here, how you can strengthen those social connections even while being physically distant, just a little bit. So that's number one. It was improves our mental health. Number two, it actually increases a sense of happiness. Again, back to I can geek out on all those, I can get a little nerdy with all the research stuff, but because I love to give people right information. I love things that are evidence based as well. Again, but there's a lot of research out there that proves that the happiest people on the planet are those who are have more social connections, and it's not more in the amount of, maybe not more is not the word, like have strong social connections. They might be connected to fewer people, but those connections are very meaningful to them. They're very they're deep connection that they can trust. The people that support them. People are always there. People they can rely on, and that increases a sense of happiness. It's not the money, the cars. It's not the job. It's the people we have in our lives that honestly keep us happy. And it's not that they're doing anything per se to keep us happy, but the more connected we feel, the happier we feel. Okay, so that was number two. Number three, social connections increase our self worth and our confidence. I'll say that again. Social connections increase our sense of worth, and confidence. Yes, it has to be healthy social connections. That's what we're talking about here. And I know, some of us probably had an experience where, we were around people or connected to some people who didn't make us feel worthy or didn't, boost our confidence, but it crushed it instead. And that's not what we're trying to promote here. We're trying to promote those healthy relationships that make you feel like you're contributing to something. You contribute to someone else's life, and even just by being their friend. Think about it, for us who are parents, those of us who are parents, like that sense of self-worth can be as simple as being there to support your loved one, as a caregiver, as a parent, as a partner. It gives that sense like I'm contributing to somebody else's life, and that gives a sense of self-worth. That also gives us confidence that we are doing something well, right? In this life where, we can all have so many challenges, there's something that we're bringing to the table, and that will boost your self-worth, will boost your self-esteem. So that was number three. Number four, social connections also, helps us have a greater empathy for others. People who are social, well connected socially, often have more understanding, more compassion, more empathy, more. And it's not like, sometimes I joke, I'm like, I have no tolerance for nonsense. And yes, we gotta have to have our boundaries, but you'll find that the people who have strong social connections, usually they love people a little more. Those are the people that often will be donating their time and the resources to support others or support different causes that, that's important to them. They're doing greater good in the work, because in the world, because they value people. Well, you can't value people if you're not connected to people, right? You can't. You can't. But also number five, um, which kind of goes hand in hand with our mental health, but also I think could be a whole segment, a whole benefit by in itself. It's that social connections help us have a wider range of coping skills. Yes, when you're connected to people, you're going to have those moments where people just, press the wrong buttons, right? You have moments where people, People make you get frustrated, and honest, even right now, especially right now, when you're stuck at home with your children, with your spouse, with your relatives, with your roommates, nuts all the time, every day you're stuck with them, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I knew I didn't like that thing in them, and now it really gets under my skin. It's frustrating, right? But the fact that you are with them, especially with people that you love and care about, being in relationship with them, whatever, it's friendship, or or employment, whatever connections you guys have, by being socially connected to them, helps you build those coping skills. Those of us who are parents will definitely say, well, being home with our kids definitely working on the patients, right? We're all working on the patients. But all, even like right now, trying to manage working from home and teaching the kids from home, it helps you have find that balance for yourself. So you feel like you're always just kind of juggling stuff every day. But without the social interactions, without the social connections, you won't be exercising those different muscles if you want, right? You won't be doing that. So if you need more patience and you're kind of exercising that patience muscle per se, it's because of the social interactions that you have, the social connections that you have. You can't be more patient just by yourself. Usually not. There's usually, you practice those skills around people, right? Being more tolerant, being even just being more caring. You think about all the coping skills that you need for life. Most of them get developed within the context of social interactions, social connections. So I'll recap 5 reasons why you need to be socially connected to others right now. Because it improves your mental health by reducing your rate of depression, anxiety, and reducing your risk for suicide. It also increases your sense of happiness, increases your sense of self-worth and confidence. It gives you greater empathy for others, and then it helps you widen your range of social of coping skills. You become a strong person. You have more strength and more coping skill, more tools, if you want, to address the adversity that comes in life because of the connections and social interactions that you have with others. So I really encourage you during this time, do whatever you can do to a few ways you can do that. I know there's many, many, many ways to stay socially connected, but here are just a few. If you think of, like, right now, I'm online, going live on Facebook. Obviously, this will be shared later on different platforms, but using technology to your advantage, whether it's FaceTime or Zoom or just texting or calling people. WhatsApp, whatever, technology that's there at your disposal, use it. If you're watching this, that means you have access to some kind of technology. Use that to connect with others. And think about, people that you have not heard from for a while. Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's an old friend from high school, some old business partner. Reach out to those people. Connect with those people. I'm personally intentionally like meeting with 5 people a day, and it's not always like a long meeting. It could be as simple as me just sending them a text and checking on them. And I have friends where we schedule a Zoom call just so that I can, get to talk to them, or even if it's on the phone. But we all need that. So be very intentional about that. Even for the people that you live with, yes, they're gonna do things that get on your skin. For example, whether it's, they'll never put the toilet seat down, those little things that get to you. But also think about ways you can deepen those relationships, those connections when you're home. Do more things together. In my household, we're playing more card games and board games. We're um, talking more, even having we have a routine, like family meeting, if that we call as we call it, time that we check in with each other. But we also now do it just more often because most of us, all of us, are home more often, right? So be very intentional about that. And then another way also is, think about maybe that neighbor that is a senior down the road, or the single mom, the single dad, people who live alone. Be intentional about reaching out to them. If you don't have the phone number, you can still write a note and put it at the door. And so I really encourage you, like, be very intentional about that. Not only for your own wellness, because like I just those 5 reasons alone are very powerful, and the good reasons for you to practice, staying socially connected, but also it helps others. And what concerns me about the virus, yes, because physical health is impacted and people, you know, and we had some deaths. That it's tragic, you know, and I get that. But there's a piece to this whole crisis that many people are not considering or not even thinking about. It's the mental health toll of all of this, not just right now, even afterwards, even after the economy boots up again. People's mental health are going to be impacted in many ways, and the way that we, you know, the way that we prevent those mental health crises before they even happen, or even lessen the impact, the mental health impact, if you want, of this crisis right now, is to stay socially connected to others. Don't wait, you know, don't wait until you are, you know, falling apart per se. You know, like I often say, before we crash, there's a time where the brakes don't work. So you think about the analogy is like, if you're driving, you know, and you're trying to press on your brakes and the brakes are not working, like, oh, something is gonna happen. This car is not gonna stop, and then the crash happened, right? And not to scare anybody, but even with emotion, with, you know, ourselves in general, usually there are signs that things that happen before you get to that point where you're like, I can't get out of bed, or, you know, I don't feel like doing anything. There's often things that happen before that, and I want you to be very, very intentional about checking with yourself and checking on seeing that, you know, okay, well, how am I doing today? If I'm feeling sad, who can I talk to? Who can I reach out to? You know, so you want to make sure that you are continually, continually taking care of yourself and strengthening, you know, yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically, so that, you know, as much as this is a crisis, so that it doesn't crush us. So I really, really, and if you need to talk, please reach out to me. Um, I didn't think about this, but I can actually share my if I can pull it up, I can share my calendar link. And I've been doing this with friends, but you know, you all are my friends. I often say, when you're a friend of Christian Consulting, you're a friend forever. Uh, so I'll share my link here, my so that if you need to talk, and it doesn't have to be because you need a session. This just you just need to chat. We all need to chat right now or connect with someone. So I'll put my link here, um, my calendar link. All you have to do is click on it, and shows you my calendar, and you can pick a time for us to connect, and we can talk about anything and everything. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. We'll both use the time that we, you know, it's available to us. I know we also have kids at home, and we have to be mindful of, you know, giving their our attention as well. But I really encourage you to just reach out and talk to someone. And if you know, like I said, for me, I'm making a list every day and making it a goal to connect with at least 5 people. And you know, it might be people that I've not talked to in a while. It might be people that I talk to regularly, and like I'm making a goal to do that. So I also encourage you to do that. Um, and I can be one of those 5 people. There's my calendar link. And just I would love to hear from you, to hear how you're doing, and if you need any support at all. If right now it's, you know, emotionally becoming, you know, it's hard. If you're struggling emotionally because of all of this, please, um, I want to be there and support you in that. All right, guys, I know it's getting late. I will let you all go. Um, and if you're catching this as a replay, please also let me know that you stopped by. To just, you know, either put hashtag replay or say hi, just so that I knew you were there. And if you need resources as well, and we've been sharing a lot of resources on our page and all across the social media platforms. But if there's anything in particular that you are looking for or need as far as resources or supports, let me know. You never know. I often say, if I don't know where it is or I don't know what it is, I'm sure I can find someone who does, or at least point you in the right direction. So again, we're in this together, and this is a time that we, you know, we should connect. This time that we should um, connect with others, so we can all be strong in this. There's a lot of things right now that we cannot control. Right? We cannot control how long this takes. Yes, we're all taking our precautions. We're all doing everything we can, you know, following all the medical recommendations to stay well. But even as we do that, if we're honest, like, nobody knows if it's going to be a month or 2 months. So that alone is overwhelming. And so, but there's also a lot of things that we can control. We can control how we're using this time that we're home. We can control, you know, how we're taking care of ourselves during this crisis. And often, when even not just me, but I think all human beings, when we're going through crises, and there's a lot of things that we cannot control, it becomes even more important to hold on to the ones that we can control. So I really encourage you, stay socially connected. Stay connected. This is not a time to isolate. This is not a time to hide at home. Yes, you're hiding physically at home, but I want you to still be virtually connected to others, because we need you to be well. The world needs you to be well. You matter to us. You matter to the universe. You matter to God. You are important, and we want you, especially now. I want everyone to know that they're important to me. That's why I'm sharing my calendar link. And if you just need to chat, please, please, please reach out. All right, I'm sending all my love, hugs to all of you, and we're here. Like I say, if I can help with anything, need any resource, just message me or comment here below, and we'll make sure that we share those resources as well. All right, take care. Good night, everyone.